You've probably had somebody tell you, you know what, maybe you should try eliminating certain foods for your ADHD, or you've read something online where, it might help your child with ADHD if you eliminate certain foods and it can improve their behavior. But does it really work? We're going to talk about that in this video right after this intro, so let's get started. What's up, my optimal minds? Welcome back to another video on ADHD. If you're new here and have not actually downloaded my free guide yet, go ahead and download that free ADHD guide for both parents who have kids with ADHD as well as adults that have ADHD. You can download that free guide that goes over all the vitamins, supplements, nutrients, labs that you should be running so you know what specifically you could do to help your child or for yourself with ADHD. The free guide is in the description below. When it comes to food allergies, a lot of people ask me, a lot of my patients ask me if it can help with ADHD. Now, why it might actually help with ADHD, there are certain things when it comes to food allergies that present in different symptoms. And the big common ones that actually do happen with people who have ADHD are things such as like headaches, increased hyperactivity, impulsivity, lack of concentration, and brain fog are just to name a few that could be some symptoms that could be associated with ADHD and allergies. Now, looking at the research, in 2011, Lancet published a research article that looked at the diet's effects on ADHD symptoms. The researchers recruited 100 different children with ADHD and placed 50 of them on a restricted diet consisting mainly of rice, meat, vegetables, pears, and water, with some children getting a few other foods. The other 50 of the control group received a normal diet at the end of the 5 weeks, and 64% of the children on the restricted diet had significant improvements in their ADHD symptoms, while none of the control group had improved at all. So you can see this could be a really big benefit as far as maybe implementing something when it comes to restricted food diets. But at the same time, in this study, they looked at a comparison of looking at restricted food elimination diets versus trying to use a food allergy test, such as something with IgG, which didn't find any really big significance, whether it was high or low significance of a food allergy test with IgG. But when they used something like using a restricted or a food elimination diet, they found big improvements on there versus just trying to go based off of some allergy tests such as IgG. So the other really big thing you need to understand is how do you know if you have a food allergy or if your child who has ADHD has a food allergy or food sensitivity? Well, just like I mentioned before, this can present in different symptoms and many different variances when it comes to food allergies. Now, if it's a true food allergy, you're going to have reactions whether on the skin or also you're going to have a hard time breathing. Those are really severe cases, as well as if there are different stomach aches, brain fog. Those can be more brain fog, and difficulty concentrating would be considered more of a food sensitivity. Or being more hyperactive or impulsive, this would be considered more of a food sensitivity versus a food allergy. A true food allergy would be more severe kind of conditions of why you would maybe need to get like an EpiPen or something else. So what's the difference between a food allergy and a food sensitivity? So a food allergy is when our body's immune system does actually change a very abnormal response to certain foods, where it can be a food reaction or it could be something as far as even more severe where your throat starts closing up and starts really reacting and having a hard time breathing, where you might need to use something as like an EpiPen. But a food sensitivity are more subtle types of symptoms that could be leading to headaches, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, impulsivity, hyperactivity. These all could be symptoms with food sensitivity. But the issue with this, when we look at food allergy testing, there's the food allergy test and there's the food sensitivity test that you might see out there. Now, when it comes to food sensitivity, I find that a lot of different allergy tests out there are very inaccurate. They're not very conclusive, and it could mean that your body just be consuming more of that type of food versus it actually being a true food sensitivity. Whereas if it's a true food allergy, this is something where you do with a scratch allergy test, or if you actually could do it through a blood sample, but testing for IgE, those types of immune antibodies versus something like IgA or IgG, those types of immune antibodies are very inconclusive to really know whether it's a food sensitivity or if it's a food allergy. Based off of that, I wouldn't go there. If you're going to use it, if you're going to try to find something that has a true food allergy, make sure to stick with IgE testing, whether it's for scratch or for blood. So then what can you do as far as when it comes to ADHD? Because a lot of these ADHD symptoms have to do with more food sensitivity and not always the case of food allergy. Now, it is possible that your child or for yourself can have an actual true food allergy, but a lot lot of these other symptoms come from more food sensitivities. So the best thing that you actually can do, and that a lot of doctors do recommend, is a food elimination diet. And that's where this study came from, is actually doing a restrictive elimination type of diet that can be more effective. Why this can be effective is because when you eliminate, you yourself can actually record whether there is improvements in symptoms, whether for yourself or for your child. And then when you reintroduce the food, you can see if those actual symptoms do present again. So the most simplest form is by going with the most basic food allergies that are out there and start with that first. Unless you are very suspicious of a particular food that you want to eliminate either for yourself or for your child, but you eliminate that for at least 4 to 6 weeks of eliminating that particular food completely out of your diet and see if symptoms do improve. Now, you want to do this at a time when it is at home front, it is nothing's crazy going on, you're not starting a new school year, or you're not trying to make adjustments in your child's schedule where behavior can act out because of changes. So once everything is normal, like I should be, pick a good time frame to be able to eliminate this food from your child or for yourself and eliminate it for 4 to 6 weeks. Once you've eliminated, for example, if you did both dairy and gluten at the same time, you would reintroduce one food group at a time and see if those symptoms come back. So let's say they actually did eliminate during that 4-week span, and then you reintroduced dairy at first and you see those symptoms come back. Then that would be your answer. You would know that dairy would be an actual symptom of causing increased hyperactivity, impulsivity, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, if those symptoms tend to be something that you're dealing with that particular food. Now, if you are looking for other further guidance as far as what types of labs that you should be running for ADHD to be able to kind of hone down specifically what needs to be run, and also different testing and other different types of nutrients to implement, go ahead and download my free guide for both parents who have kids with ADHD as well as adults that have ADHD. You can download that in the description below. So until next time, this is Dr. Legrand signing out, and remember, you guys have an optimal mind. Thanks. Bye.